Our top story tonight, AEW has released their long-awaited General Manager game on the App Store. Their first game release was the Double or Nothing Casino game, which was, it pretty much went over like a lead balloon. But now we've got something that actually has to do with wrestling and with the company itself. Simply put, you are role-playing as the general manager of AEW and are tasked with booking matches within a certain budget to maximize ratings and revenue so you can do it all again next week and the week after. Now, if you've ever played games like Modern Mania Wrestling or 80s Mania Wrestling, both developed by Checkmate Creative, then you know what to expect here because it's kind of a shameless copy of that, but it does distinguish itself in certain ways. The most impressive thing about the game is definitely its visuals. I love the design work for all the wrestlers in here as they are instantly recognizable but still delightfully cartoony, and the way the visuals of the matches, the way they play out, is a lot of fun to see. And, you know, even after playing it for over an hour, I never really got tired of seeing the little cutout characters fly around the ring and the little flourishes here and there when you add in weapons. It definitely helps the experience, and it does look better than the Mania Wrestling games I mentioned earlier, but I'm not sure I give it points for that since AEW certainly has more resources to work with than something thrown together by a small app company. So you had a chance to play this as well, Ryan. What did you think?
I totally agree. I mean, I think the visuals they really make it pop. I love the specific style. I mean, as a big comic book fan, I think it really pops out to me in terms of style. And I totally agree. It does, for me, I've played a few of those games as well. It doesn't really separate itself from the pack yet, but I think for kind of a debut app for them, for AEW, I think it's a good start. I'm sure they'll deepen the app in the game as it goes along. I have heard that it crashes for a lot of people. Some people aren't able to really get it going. I didn't really have that issue, but I know some people have, so maybe that's something that they'll improve on. But overall, I really like the style. I really like, like you said, them popping around the ring, and I think it's a cool start, and I think there's possibility for more.
Well, I didn't have any crashes, but there were a few bugs here and there with certain menus not loading right. But those can definitely be fixed in an update. And speaking of updates, another thing is that it would tell you there's an update available, and half the time there wasn't one, so it took a few tries to actually get in the game. So yeah, those are all things that can be updated as the game progresses. But the issue I have with the game it's kind of baked into the core mechanics, so unfortunately I don't think they'll be able to take those out anytime soon. And where the game starts to falter for me is the same way that the Mania Wrestling games faltered. I just can't wrap my head around the mechanics of the game, how the individual stats interact with each other, what the best approach is in any given scenario, and what is a good measure of success here. It's much more simplified than the Mania Wrestling games, which is either good or bad, depending on your perspective. For me, I think it kind of works out a little bit better since there's not as much minutia to be confused about. But the biggest flaw, the fatal flaw for these games, and where I think they just kind of missed the mark of what they should be doing, is that you can't determine the outcome of the matches. So it's no longer a true GM experience. Instead of trying to book long-term storylines with win streaks or baby faces overcoming challenges, you're at best trying to synergize stat combination and maximize outcomes, which was okay, I guess, for a little bit, but it left me feeling really unsatisfied. What did you think about all that?
That's a great point. I think it does take away from kind of the total control that you're supposed to have, or, advertised to have, when you can't even determine the outcomes. It's kind of hard to build long-term storytelling, long-term storylines when that's the case. I think even those SmackDown versus Raw GM modes, where WWE is so into kayfabe, you can choose the outcomes, I'm pretty sure. So it's kind of surprising that that's not the case here. But, I wonder if, like you said, I mean, it's part of the core mechanic. So how easy that would be to change, or if they even would change that, I don't know. But I think that's a good point, and it does take away from it for me a little bit.
Yeah, and, even though I never really grasp what I'm doing or what I'm trying to maximize here, I did actually find one strategy that works pretty much every time. So here's your life hack for how to bet the GM Manager game. Do not waste your time hiring the low-level people like, I did. I want all the Dark Order guys. No, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. Just hire the best wrestlers with the highest popularity, no matter the cost, because they always give you a boatload of money to start each session with, and because of the high popularity, they pay for themselves within that first week. not only that, you don't have to pay for them on a week-to-week basis. So it's better to just have 4 weeks of superstars instead of working with the lower tier guys first and then getting the bigger stars in the later weeks. So, like, within an hour of me barely even understanding it, I feel like I've explored the mechanics and also, what would be the right word here? The magic disappeared. Like, I no longer felt like I was booking the matches that I wanted to see. Oh, Evil Uno versus Kenny Omega, stuff like that. It was just, who has the high stats? Go, go, go. There, I got money. I got fans. I got little television sets or whatever the little symbols are that mean things that are important.
You discovered the formula that could lead to success as opposed to, you know, what you would actually want to see, hopefully leading to success.
Yeah. And on top of that, the PvP is pointless. To say this game has player versus player action is like saying that a classroom of students taking a quiz is a battle royale. There is no interaction between the two players in this PvP match. You're just doing your own thing for 4 weeks, and then you just compare each other's stats at the end.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I didn't even bother to look into what you could even buy as in-game currency. None of it felt like I needed to buy anything in there. So, what would be the point in that?
Right.
It feels a lot shallower than it should have been. Probably I should have expected as much because I did play those Modern Mania games. And as soon as they showed the trailers, it's going to be one of those. So, perhaps I got my hopes up a little too high for no reason. But, you know, first the Casino Battle Royale game, or the Casino Double or Nothing game, that's what it was. The casino game was just, it had AEW branding on the start screen, and there was just a boring casino game. And now this, which is not quite living up to the GM fantasy. I mean, I'm hopeful for that big budget video game that they got planned, but that has a few red flags for me as well. You know, they keep touting the No Mercy guy as a big developer do, but he hasn't really done all that much in the industry since then. I mean, he has a few games under his belt, but that's like when they brought the Shenmue 3 guy back and all he ever did was play Shenmue. That was it.
Right. Right. Yeah, well, hopefully, like you said, hopefully third time's a charm with this big budget
Third time's a charm.
I mean, that's we'll see. I've seen a few clips from the game too, and I don't know. It's we'll certainly see. I mean, it's probably going to be better than WWE 2K21, right? By default.
or that Battlegrounds game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.